Good morning. I'm Ms. Deline, and today's oracle card is Painted Face, Self-Expression. The attributes are showing the true self, acknowledging true abilities, sharing your personal best, expressing talents without self-importance, sharing skills and aiding the whole. The challenges are confronting your ego and vanity, fearing judgment of your expression, refusing to use creativity, lacking self-worth or confidence, fearing losing face or failure. Painted Face insists that we own our talents as part of our total expression of self. In this manner, we're walking in balance and beauty without feeling the need to puff up the ego. To stop the flow of creativity is to cut the tie to the creative source, great mystery. Feelings are to be trusted so that self-expression may flow. The rewards of self-expression are gifts of experience and wisdom that every life form brings to the council fire of creation that sparks the light of the world. In examining the way in which we express ourselves, we must look at the inhibitions that may block the path of beauty. Vanity or self-importance can stop the flow of the true self's natural way of being. The truth is that behind vanity's mask is an inner beauty that has been covered and buried. Riddled with fear, this inner beauty may have felt that it was not real as the physical beauty that houses it. Not as real as the physical beauty that houses it. Genuineness of character needs to be allowed to come forward to make vanity drop its mask. The fear of expressing who and what we are is often based in a fear of being different or unacceptable. These old ideas are tied to wanting to belong and to be admired by others. The ropes that tie us to the opinions of others can be cut if we are willing to stop our own judgments about how things should be, how people should act, what others should wear, and what is sensible. You can begin by cutting the ropes of limitation and examining your belief systems that were formed when you were young. It might be advantageous to list the items that were should nots and never do that in your experience. Then see which of those unspoken rules are limiting your self-expression. After seeing the limiting effects of the old ideas, you may choose to write new decisions about those don'ts and make a list of positive ways to express yourself without the old guilt or fears. The old list of negatives may include such items as wearing stripes with prints or writing with your left hand, or rules about kissing on a first date or singing in public. And as you make the list, you will naturally go deeper into your serious issues, and you may cut the cord to your fear of self-expression. Painted Face reminds us there is no failure in those who have the courage to express themselves. The only failure is in refusing to take the chance. The Painted Face calls each of us to express our talents in a way that will assist the whole of creation. In receiving this card, you're being asked to list your assets in order to express them through art. The artistic and creative side of this exercise is to decide which gifts could be expressed through a particular color and or design. You are unique, and so are the gifts you have to share with humankind. Paint your face and look at the reflection in a mirror. Then decide when, how, and with whom you wish to share your gifts. Knowing when to express our views, our talents, our sense of self, and our love of being who we are is the last part of this lesson. The development of our self-expression balanced with appropriate timing is a lesson of discernment. Knowing when and how to share who we are depends upon our ability to face the challenges of this card. So, probably the two biggest challenges are about ego. Three biggest challenges: ego, lack of confidence. I would translate that in who you are, and then the third being those conditioning shouldn'ts and don'ts that we receive in our life. So, and I think that conditioning might be what creates the ego. in some manners. So the ego, we hear a lot about the ego, and the ego is like the mask we put on in the world. It is that part of us that it's a construct. So it's not a natural thing, I don't think. I don't believe the ego is a natural thing. I believe it's a construct that we create in order to express ourselves in the world in a way that we feel safe, or and surely in the way that we've been conditioned to be. And so it's like putting on a mask. And I wanted to tell the story of a friend that I have that she literally paints on a mask every day. She calls it makeup. And she covers her whole face from her hairline all the way around her ears, but she only looks in this small mirror, and she doesn't notice that there's this line of, so her face is one color, and then there's a line right here where there's a different color below. And then she paints on lipstick that is bigger than her lips, because she doesn't feel like her lips are what they should be. And of course the eye makeup and all that. And I was working with her, in a spiritual way, and I said something about her makeup and how she's naturally beautiful, because she is, right? And she says, no, I'm not, and I have proof. She said, when I was in the hospital, she was having surgery or something, I wasn't allowed to wear my makeup. And someone came to visit me, and I saw them, peek their head in the room and then turn around and leave. And then a few minutes later, they came back, and they called my name, and I said yes, and they said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even recognize you. So that just proves that I'm so ugly that I have to wear makeup. It's like, no, that just proves that your makeup, you took your mask off, and someone didn't recognize you because you wear it every single day. I mean, it's even, like I say, a different color of skin. So this is someone who has been conditioned to think that she needs to look a certain way in order to be accepted, and she's a stunning beauty by most people's standards, just the way she is. Watch her face, and men everywhere turn, and it's just amazing to me. Although I'm just exaggerating, because I've never seen her in public with her face washed. I'm imagining that's what would happen, right? So, and then there's the that thing called vanity. And vanity is, wanting to look a certain way, the makeup, the clothing, the matching, the whatever, and worrying about what other people think. Oh my gosh, I left that behind a long time ago, because I got that lesson from a friend of mine who spent 3 hours in the bathroom in the morning and 2 to 3 hours in the bathroom in the evening. That's 5 to 6 hours a day in the bathroom, and sometime I added it up or something, and it's like she's, by the time she was 70, she would have spent like 9 years of her life in the bathroom. I can't remember the numbers, but but it was extraordinary. You're beautiful just the way you are. The Creator, the Source, God, whatever you want to call it, has made you a unique and a special being. I remember a friend of mine who had this beautiful flaming red hair, dyed her hair brown because she wanted to do something different. I know so many people have brown hair and they dye their hair red, right? Well, she dyed her hair brown. And my first thought was, oh, now you look like everybody else. Fortunately, I think she figured that out too, because, it was a temporary dye and she didn't keep it. So it's our unique essence that is going to help the world. It's our unique essence that that creative life force within us that is, and by creative I don't just mean art, I mean what we speak, how we act in the world, what's important to us. And that is the part that will make an impact in the world. That is the part that draws people to us. When someone is always wearing a mask, and I was talking about a physically visual thing, but that's not the way it always is. What about the big tough guy? He always acts really big and tough, and I'm like a biker dude and I'm big and tough. But then you get to know him, and his favorite thing is to hold newborn babies. He's a marshmallow. I knew a man who was raised to kill everything with fur, feather, and fins, right? His dad was the mighty hunter. He became the mighty hunter. After he got to know me, and, we had some really long talks about the Native American belief systems and stuff, things like that. And he stopped hunting. That wasn't who he was. And I could see that. That wasn't who he was. That's who he was conditioned to be, right? He was a gentle soul. He was the person who would, make sure the neighbors' children were okay when the neighbors were on a bender or whatever. He was such a beautiful soul, but he'd been conditioned to be this macho hunter dude, right? And so he wasn't that approachable. And after he kind of started dropping that mask, that ego that had been constructed from his conditioning, all kinds of magical things happened to him, right? I've seen some amazing things. When people learn that who they are is perfect, that they are put here with a purpose that nobody else has. They can give something that no one else can give. We all can give love, but maybe all in a different way, right? It's so important to take off the mask, let go of the vanity, because in reality, like when I was in therapy many years ago, my therapist, because I was super shy, and I'd be afraid to enter a room, like after the party started or whatever, and he said, well, why? And I said, well, I don't like, I'm worried about people looking at me and what they'll think or whatever. And he says, why would anybody care about what you look like, right? Do you care about what other people look like? No, I don't. I don't look around the room and say, oh, she has white shoes and it's winter, or, oh, her hair is curled funny, or that guy's talking too loud, unless, he's drunk and talking, like, well, whatever, but I'll notice that. But you know what I mean? It's I don't judge people by what they look like. So being who you are, and that really helped me. I'm like, yeah, I thought, well, who does care, right? I can just dress the way I want. I hate doing my hair. I wear minimal makeup. I like wearing a lot of tie-dye, whatever, and I don't care if it's in fashion or not. And I wear what's comfortable. And life is so much easier, right? So much easier than getting up in the morning and worrying about what I look like. And then the other thing is, I allow myself to speak and be who I am in public. If I'm feeling really grumpy, I was telling someone yesterday, I have accidentally snapped at someone, and it's like I immediately apologize, right? But mostly, if I'm feeling cranky, that's my stuff. So I don't spew it out there because that's my stuff. It's my either insecurity or my stress level of my life or whatever. And so I take deep breaths and let that pass through, right? But mostly I'm just, what you see is what you get, right? Ask me a question, people go, well, this might, I don't know if you want to answer this question. So far, I don't think anybody's asked me a question that I haven't answered. I can't think of anything right now. There may have been, but my life's an open book. I'm not, I am who I am, and I have no regrets. So anyway, that's enough about me, right? Be yourself. Self-expression. Self-expression. Who you are on the inside. Allow yourself to drop all those shoulds and all those don't do's that you've been conditioned to believe. Okay, so one more thing about my life. I was raised by bigoted racists. So, and even as a child, I felt like that wasn't right. And so, and they had some rules, especially of don't go near, don't, if you ever date, you'll be disowned and blah, 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 right? And so if I had kept that conditioning and held on to those don'ts and those shoulds and everything, I wouldn't be the person I am today. So drop those things that don't serve you, those things that don't resonate with who you are, those things that don't keep you aligned with spirit, those things that keep you from giving and receiving love. Those are all things, all that conditioning comes from a place of fear. And you don't have, being yourself is okay. It's safe to be yourself. I love you, and I hope you do stay safe in the world today.